I started off as a mergers and acquisitions lawyer in a very different context to where I am now. I was at King & Wood Mallison, so not far away, and actually ran into one of my partners walking across the road just before, which was a really weird experience. But yeah, over the past, I think 18 months ago now, maybe a little bit over, I left the corporate world to go full-time into what started as our side business. So I really love sharing my story because I think it just goes to show that in a very short amount of time you can go from a side business to a full-time job and go, as I say, from dreaming up your life to living your dreams in a very short amount of time. So what I usually do is start with just telling the story of how it all happened and some of the ups, very high ups, and then also very low downs on the roller coaster that is being a funtrepreneur, as I call it. And then in the second half, I try to pull out sort of 5 or 6 tips that I wish I had known at the very beginning that would have helped me a lot if I had known them earlier. So the first slide, please. So yeah, I started off, obviously. I did law at Monash, I did law arts, kept it really broad, had no idea what I wanted to do, so I thought, well, the next logical thing is apply for a firm and get qualified because I've got to do something, and I hate blood, so I couldn't do med, and I just thought, law is a great thing, it's very versatile. That was me getting admitted, and that's, how I felt in a corporate law firm. I knew from... It actually looks a bit like me when I was a kid. I am very creative. I did arts as part of my, degree because I've always been into health, wellness, design, dance, art, languages, music. And I felt, I think, very quickly that a corporate law environment wasn't going to be for me forever. But again, when you're fresh out of uni, you have no idea what you actually want to do. And you have no idea what jobs actually exist in the world or what you could end up doing. So I did have 3 really, really valuable, amazing years at the law firm, getting qualified, finding my feet, becoming like an actual human that, gets a paycheck and learns about how the world works. I got to travel. I got to learn an enormous amount of things that have since been very useful. And if we had had a pro bono legal service at the time, I wouldn't have needed it. But it has meant that, I've learned a lot of things that helped us set up the business in the beginning without needing lawyers and not needing a lot of capital. So it was a time when I was doing something, but I was a bit lost. I wasn't passionate. I didn't know what else I wanted to do. So if you are feeling like that in any stage of your life, wherever you're at right now, that's totally normal. It's part of life, and there is usually a light at the end of the tunnel. It's just part of it is all committing yourself to discovering what it is that you actually like. And I found the problem for me was that in M&A, you work very, very long hours, and I didn't actually have the time to commit or the energy to commit to finding out what I wanted to do. But one of the things that you realise is time is elastic, and I think you can make time. Like, there are limits, obviously. Some weeks I actually had no time, but there is always time to put aside for you, separately to your work, separately to what you're currently doing, to find out what actually lights your fire and then maybe set yourself more towards that path. So yes, summary is first 3 years were really great learning, but I knew it was all leading up to something else. Next slide. So my partner Nick and I are quite adventurous. We love to travel. I think we hit 40 countries together last year. And one of the things I did in first year, if anyone's been in a law firm or like watch Suits or anything, you'll know that applying for leave is a bit of a difficult thing to do, and applying for a month of leave in your first year is probably a sign that it's not the career that you're really gunning for. But I took a month off in my first year as part of this sort of finding what I was passionate about and making sure that I had lots of different dimensions in my life, and we volunteered at a school in Rwanda. And it was one of the best, most eye-opening, incredible things that I've ever done, and also gave me a bit of time away from what I was doing to decide, what I really enjoyed. But part of it, those kids were just so amazing. It was one of the most amazing experiences. But as part of it, I lost quite a lot of weight just from the fact that I'd gone from a very sedentary lifestyle to running around after kids all day, not eating as much food as I normally would. And, you know, I'm Asian metabolism, which is great sometimes because I'm a foodie. But at the time, I lost a huge amount of weight very quickly, and I came back and got quite sick. And I was told, your adrenal glands can't deal with coffee, so you're going to have to stay off coffee for a year. And I was like, I'm an M&A lawyer. Like, I drink 10 cups a day. This is not sustainable. How am I going to survive? But luckily, the universe sent me to, next slide, Hong Kong. My firm Mallisons, or King & Wood Mallisons as it is now, has a big headquarters in Hong Kong, and I was lucky enough to spend 8 months there, and that's us being very corporate and fancy. And that's the view from my bedroom. If you do get the chance in your life to be an expat, it's the most amazing experience ever. It's just so much fun. You get to really soak up another city, and not as a POV uni student, which makes a really big difference to the things that you can do. Yes, but I got sent there, and again, I was up for everything, just put my hand up for anything, because I still didn't really know what I wanted to do and where I was going. But one of the best things that came out of it was I discovered matcha, which sounds really fancy now that it's a bit of a buzzword, but it's just green tea leaves ground into a fine powder. So instead of brewing the leaves in the water and throwing the leaves out, you actually swallow the whole leaf. So you get 137 times the antioxidants of normal green tea, and because it's a powder, you can cook with it, you can put it on topically in face masks, and obviously because I couldn't drink coffee, this was a really good source of caffeine that was really gentle on your adrenals. You could have multiple cups a day and not sort of get the jitters or pass out or, you know, not sleep for the next 20 hours or whatever it is. And I got totally hooked, and my partner came over and he was the same, and we were having it every day. It was really easily accessible because it's been around for centuries in Asia, so it's not a new thing. And yeah, so then we came home and weren't able to find it anywhere, which in a climate where the health food and wellness market in Australia was absolutely booming, I couldn't understand why this superfood that had 10 times the amount of antioxidants of goji berries or the next biggest things on the shelves, how no one had it on their shelves. Like, just for myself, I wanted to buy it and I couldn't find it. The only places you could find it were in T2 in a ceremonial context, so like $60 for a 30-gram tin, and you had to buy a whisk as well, and it just seemed all very inaccessible. And the real ceremonial stuff is quite bitter, so if you don't like green tea flavour, you're never going to be able to get the health benefits of it. Or you could go to an Asian grocery, and I'm a terrible Asian, so I never go into Asian groceries, and I can't read the labels, and I don't know what's in it, but you could get it quite cheaply, but it usually has fillers like added sugar or added brown rice protein to sort of pad it out, and there was nothing in the middle. And I thought, oh gosh, like that's what I want. Maybe there's like one other person out there who might want that too, but surely there's some reason why no one's done it before. Like, why has no other health company brought this out? So Nick and I went on Google, as you do when you need to know anything in life, and we looked for some matcha to buy, and the only blend that we could find it came in bulk. It was 10 kilos. And I was like, even like with a 12-month shelf life, that's probably too much for two people. So what are we going to do with it? We can only get it that way, and we really wanted it. So we thought, why don't we start a little side project? I wasn't getting my creative buzz out of the law firm, and I didn't have a hobby because I'd sort of forgotten that hobbies are a thing and that you need some stimulation for all areas of your life. So we decided to just buy some and see how it went. Package it up, do it as we were really good friends with the people at Frank Body at the time, so we were like, even if we can do 1% of what they've done, just put it in brown bags and sell 2 bags, I can put it on LinkedIn that I'm an entrepreneur and a business owner. All I need to do is sell 1 bag. So that's all I cared about. So, next slide. This was, I don't know if you guys know what Fonto is. It's an app on your phone that you can like make little tiles like that green one, but you can only use like predetermined fonts. So it's like not very original if you were actually making a logo, but we did this on our plane home from Hong Kong, that thing. And then we, on a serviette, the dinner on our last night in Hong Kong, we drew like a little round thing, and we're like, we want it to be a circle because that's like the universe and like tea leaves and, health and wellness and, all the good things that are the circle of life, whatever. And then we sort of mocked up these when we got home, and, we played around with them, but it was all very DIY and not very serious. And then, next slide. So, we had, these sort of rough sketches and things, and thought, we're going to actually have to find, a consistent supply if we want to do this. So we should probably go and taste the teas. So that's my partner, Nick. We went to the tea farm, as you can see, and that's me smelling tea bushes that aren't matcha bushes. Because I got there and I was like, tea leaves. And they're like, they're not the right ones. But I didn't know what they look like. I don't really see them in a powder. So this is how much this was not in my area, not in my comfort zone, not in my area of expertise. I just rocked up at this tea farm and started smelling like sencha bushes. And they were like, oh my God, who is this crazy lady? And that was us at the plant where it's all processed, just sussing out how it all works and getting to understand the shade it's grown in and the temperatures it's done at. We did all this research, but in a very short amount of time, we just planned a trip to Japan and had obviously sketched some logos that weren't very pretty on a serviette. And then next slide. And then eventually, this is what came out of it, Matcha Maiden. So the circle design is the same as the sort of one that we'd done on the serviette with all the leaves. We had a couple of graphic designers work at it, but the one that we had drawn on a serviette turned out to be the one that stuck, because I guess it came from the heart and circle of life and all that stuff. So we decided, let's give it a go. We found some tea that we like. It's organic. It fits all the, ticks all the boxes. It's not too strong. It's all these kind of things. It mixes with dairy, non-dairy, blah, blah, blah. And the next step was that I always want to know when I, hear people who, I used to go to a lot of these talks, and the one thing they always skate over is, how did you go from I don't have a business to I have a business? What's that moment? Somewhere along the way you went from nothing to the business is selling stuff. So how does that happen? Because it has to happen in steps, right? So why doesn't anyone talk about it? So for us, it literally was Google how to start a tea company. And that led us to realise, well, we obviously need bags to put it in, and we need to seal the bag, so we need a heat sealer, and we need stickers, and we need, we made a slow list of all these just fundamental things that you need. And we went to Officeworks. We got bags off eBay. It was uni exams at the time in November, and we had to queue up with uni students printing their exam notes to print our labels. It was very DIY. And then we had to pack it. And we're like, someone's got to put it in the bags. So we borrowed a friend's commercial kitchen and you guys know Breaking Bad, the drug dealer movie? So it was I literally bought those little drug scales from eBay. And we it was summer, so we didn't want to get fibres, in the bags from our clothes. So we got into our undies and we're packing with shower caps and in our undies in a kitchen, sweating, just literally pouring it in the bags, heat sealing it ourselves. It was a little Nick's half Asian, so we say it was our little, sweatshop, politically incorrect. But it was a little factory. It was just the two of us doing things in a row, and that's how we started. So businesses always end up looking quite glamorous, and now we do lots of fancy things and it's great. But we started, I'd finish at the law firm, run to the friend's kitchen, take my suit off, and then pack in my undies for 4 hours. That's how it begins. So it all starts very grassroots. And then, Matcha Maiden is what came out of it. We launched we did an Instagram. I just started to sort of get onto Instagram myself. The one Asian thing about me is I love taking photos of food. So I'd already sort of started to suss out, that this was a really good marketing tool. You get reach really quickly, it can go global, it can go viral, all those kinds of things. So we did a 3 to 4 week lead up, something green is coming, and used all the right hashtags and did all that stuff. And then we launched, and I was sitting at the computer oh my God, is someone going to buy it? And it turned out that it was so many other people had been wanting this thing that filled the gap in the market that we sold out in a week. And I didn't have the supplier's details because I was like, I didn't think I'd need to order again. Like, I don't know. There's a lead time to get from Japan to Australia, so we had to put sold out on the website for like 4 days, and it was a disaster. But since then, it's continued to grow at this rate that we just did not prepare for. And like, sometimes you do need to believe in yourself enough to maybe prepare for success instead of prepare for failure. But yeah, it grew to the point where we got our first international stockist, within a month. We got to 10,000 followers within 3 months. And the big aha moment was when Urban Outfitters in the US, I don't know if you guys know, it's like one of those huge chains, emailed us and said, we love your stuff. What can you guys do? Can you do something custom? Because it's like a lifestyle product. And I was like, so Nick's a techie, and he said to me, babe, we're going into e-commerce and you're really gullible. And there's lots of Prince of Nigeria scams out there. So don't give anyone our details. Don't fall for anything. So I get this email from Urban Outfitters that's like the biggest store in the US, and we're still packing in our undies in Melbourne, just this little couple. And I'm like, this is not real. Like, this is not real. So I ignored it. And then he found the email and was like, oh my God, that's the biggest contract we've ever been offered. And I was like, you'll be so proud of me. I didn't fall for the scam. So luckily they forgave us, and they ordered a trial of 500 units, which at the time for us was everything we had. So we sent it all over. And then they liked it, and a month later they came back and said, can we get 3,000 every month till the end of the year? And we were just like, no, we don't have the production capacity to do that because it's a couple in our undies. But you don't tell Urban Outfitters that, obviously, and you fake it till you make it. So we said yes and then worked backwards. I'm like, how are we going to do this? I'm going to have to leave my job. And I left. I resigned the next day. And that's how it happened. And I think it's, that moment, people ask, like, when did you make the jump? And it's like, when it became mutually exclusive, when it was one or the other. And I decided I don't know if this is going to last, and I don't hate law either. I could survive there. I'm learning a lot. I could make a really good career out of this. But, you only live once. You only get one chance to see if you can make something of something. And I would always regret not doing it, but I would never regret leaving, an industry that I could go back to. I'm always going to be qualified, so let's give it a go and I can go back. So I left, and then, it became pretty big. We got lots of press, which was really great. We went to Google. We did lots of fun things. And then a couple of weeks ago, that's Carly Kloss, the Victoria's Secret angel. She came to Australia with Adidas, who contacted me, and I was like, oh my God, what do you mean? And said, Carly loves your matcha. Would you come and video her, like be on her video channel? And I was like, oh, let me check my schedule. Yes, I can. So it's grown pretty big. Like, it's been a pretty exciting journey. And it's only been 18 months since I left. So I really try and encourage people that whether the change in your life that you want is small or big, it can happen fast. It doesn't have to be, a 10-year schlep. But at the same time, it's an overnight success a couple of years in the making as well. It looks like it all happened really quickly, but there were the packing in the undies hard yards at the start. So about a year in, next slide, the opportunity came up to bring our online store into the physical world. And again, it was one of those like, what is my life? Oh my God, as if this is happening, but like just grab the opportunity by the balls. There's heaps of risk, but we're in a world where people are making businesses off posting photos of themselves on Instagram. Like, ride the wave. It won't be like this forever. Jump on it. And we'd always, I love food. Our business partner, actually, I studied law with him, and his other cafe was our first Matcha Maiden stockist. And we were all in the States together. We were studying the drinks and he was studying the food. And we both noticed that vegan eating and matcha drinking was like really on the rise for some reason. And the one thing that unites them together is longevity. It's not about animal cruelty. It's not about anything other than health and longevity and sustainability. And we were like, oh my God, there's this thing called the blue zones. There's 5 areas where people live longer than anywhere else. And no one knows. No regular people know that. Why? And I realised it's because all my vegan friends are so radical. They just put bloody animals all over my Facebook and I stopped listening. So why doesn't someone package the information in a better way that's fun and mainstream and not scary or weird and doesn't get served to you on a plate by someone called Chastity? That was at Cafe Gratitude actually happened to me, and I was like, oh, the food is amazing, but like stop that. Like I'm woo-woo, but like only a little bit woo-woo. So that's how the idea for Matcha Milk Bar came about. The blue zone with the most 100-year-olds is Okinawa, and they've got more than anywhere else because they also have a high level of matcha consumption. So we were like, bring them together, it's a longevity cafe. And we've made it rainbow, and like there's matcha in the buns, there's 9 different lattes, none of them have caffeine in them except the matcha. There's like, you know, a blue algae one that went viral, and we opened 10 months ago now, and we've had some pretty awesome publicity as well. Oh yeah, this is the one before. So that's us with Miley Cyrus at her New Year's party last year. That's Chris Hemsworth got interviewed the other day saying, what should you visit in Melbourne? And he said, oh yeah, the city, blah, 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 and Matcha Milk Bar with a link. I was like, what? And then, yeah, that's with the 3 brothers. That's Nick, and that's our business partner, Mark. So this happened because Liam is a vegan, and he's always wanted to invest in something Australian that was really changing people's views. And this idea came up, and he sort of got onto us through when we were first leaking stuff to the press, and he flew back from Miami to Byron, where Chris lives, and they were like, I've got to meet these people. So they flew us up to Byron, and like this was 2 years ago, and was like, we want to invest. And, you know, I thought we'd go up for like a cup of tea, like somewhere really, you know. Turned up at the address they gave us, and it was Chris's house, and like his babies were there, and like his family, and then Miley like walks across the thing, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not cool with famous people yet. Like I'm not cool. I get like really flustered. So I went to the bathroom and I was like, ah! And came back and I was like, hey Miley, nice to meet you. So we didn't end up needing investment, but they've been really big supporters of us. And we're about to open in 2 months in Sydney, our second venue for Matcha Milk Bar. And then last New Year's, they were like, oh, you coming this year? And I was like, oh, let me check. Sure. And it was in San Diego, so we flew to San Diego, and it's just, you can tell by the way I'm talking about it, it's just been a total whirlwind of like putting out to the universe, like just come at me. I'm going to take a huge risk and just see what happens and throw everything I can into it. And like really good shit happened because I did that. So next slide. I thought I would share the 5 things that have stood out the most for me in this crazy whirlwind journey that are useful, I think, on an entrepreneurial journey, but also any journey that you're going through in your personal, professional, family, any kind of development. And the first one is, doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. And I love this because I went back to the very first email I sent to someone with the idea for Matcha Maiden, and the first thing I said was, this is a really, really terrible idea that will probably fail, but can I ask you what you think? And I was like, that just shows how negative you are straight away about your abilities. Self-doubt is such a natural human thing. It's the first reaction to most things that you have. And it's so destructive, but it's natural. So I really encourage people to, when you feel those feelings, like even before I get up to speak, I'm like, I've got nothing useful to say. Like, why am I here? You just doubt yourself intrinsically. And the important thing is to acknowledge it and appreciate that it's natural, but to not act on it. You're not doubting yourself because you can't do it or because you shouldn't do it. You're doubting yourself because it's normal. But don't make decisions based on that. If you fail for any reason, it shouldn't be because you didn't try or because you didn't believe you could, because you only actually find out if you do it. And I never would have guessed that this would have happened. But if I'd listened to the me that was going, this is a terrible idea, I would have just still been sitting, you know, at a law firm buying tickets to stuff like this and being like, why can't I do it? So this is one of my favourite quotes ever. The next one is back to this comfort zone thing. It's just that if you want something you've never had, you've got to do something you've never done. So it's about stepping out of your comfort zone to really get, like, you're not growing. If you're not feeling a little bit uncomfortable, you're doing something that you've always done. You're not pushing yourself, you're not doing something new. It's really important to always sort of just step a little bit out, try something new, see if you like it or if you don't. Are you going to get used to that comfort and enjoy it? Or, is it something that you really don't enjoy? And one thing for me that I've found is I tend to achieve something and then pat myself on the back and be like, oh yeah, you're done for the year, good girl. But your comfort zone, it catches up to you. You step out and you get used to those things and you get better, and then it's caught up to you suddenly. And it's like, no, every couple of months you need to look back and take another step and keep going. It's an evolving process. The next one is the grass is greener where you water it, which I also really like, particularly in an age where social media is such a powerful tool, and it's allowed me to live a life I couldn't have dreamed of, but it's also very dangerous because you choose the you that you put out there, and it just leaves so much room for you to be constantly comparing yourself with someone else's body or someone else's business or someone else's life or what they're eating or what they look like. And most of the time it's edited. It's very selectively curated what goes up there, and it's a huge waste of time. If a lot of people say to me, oh, my social media isn't growing. And it's because you spend all your time on it, worrying about what other people are doing. So just put your energy into your own stuff, because where your energy is what will grow. And if you're putting your energy on other people, you're just helping them grow. You're actually just giving them good vibes to make their stuff happen. And one of the other quotes that I heard in Rwanda, actually, that was really great for me at the time was a friend of mine said to me, I was sort of thinking, I need to leave my job because I don't like it. And he said to me, it's because all the other people around me were ex-lawyers doing things. And he was like, stop looking at what everyone else is doing. It's really important to have passion in your life, but your passion doesn't need to be your job. For some people, if your passion becomes your job, you lose the passion. So for some people, being entrepreneurial means staying in their job but being really creative in it, or taking control of their department, or doing something new that's never been done. Doesn't necessarily mean go run your own business, because some people aren't organised or they don't like being isolated. So don't look at everyone else and think, oh, leaving your job is the best thing that you can do. It is for some people, but for some people it doesn't work. So just try and focus on your own grass. That's the message from that one. Number 4, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And that doesn't mean literally, because obviously there are some people that you have to spend a lot of time with, share the desk with you or something. But it just reminds you that you do reflect in your environment what your values are, what you want to get out of life, the networks that you're using, what you're sharing with other people and what you can get back from them. And if there's someone really negative in your environment, it's going to be really hard for you to quell the self-doubt and actually do something. And similarly, if you have someone really positive in your life, they sort of create this aura of positivity and motivation, and you're like, oh, maybe I can. It's really important. I think people underestimate what their environment does to their mindset, and look at the 5 people around you the most and see if you're happy with the reflection of you that sum kind of makes. And the last one is take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. And one thing with having a health and wellness business is that your passion for it is so great that you work on it to the point that your own health and wellness sort of just gets forgotten. And I found that I've crashed 3 times, to the point where I've almost not turned up to a speaking gig, and then just pulled through to stand up and be like, wellness is everything. And thought, this is so terrible. I'm all about being authentic and, being really down to earth. And, it's been a very quick journey. I'm still sort of letting it catch up with me, but it's not authentic to promote wellness and then not be well. That's just stupid. And it makes me look like I don't even know what I'm talking about. Devalues the brand. So a really big lesson for me this year has been to slow down and take care of myself, because you can't give of an empty cup. You can't achieve anything for anybody if you're not well rested, well nourished, mentally well. That's a huge thing these days. I have quite bad anxiety because I just get a stressed head. I get really overworked. I'm a law. I did law. Think about it. We're all a bit A-type wired, and it's very hard because we run at this pace on a conveyor belt of achievement. And it's even if no one else is putting pressure on you, you think, I need to achieve more, and you need to be going up all the time. But sometimes you can just go, and that's fine. Some days I don't need to, achieve something. I can just rest. Rest is okay. And I went for a year without a weekend or a weekend day. I just worked worse than I was at the law firm. And I thought, I'm leaving law to be well. And I was worse. So the one thing that will be with you no matter what career changes or personal life changes that you have is your body. And you can't do anything without that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so look after yourselves.